Welcome, everyone. My name is Karen Aoki, and I will be hosting today's webinar on Balance is the New Hustle, Wellness Wisdom from Ayurveda. Before we get started, we want you to know that closed captioning is available. Click CC on your screen if you want that option. All right, so our first stop here is the homepage of Maharishi International University. We are broadcasting from Maharishi International University, and it's my delight to welcome you here on a fabulous topic. These info sessions offer knowledge for anyone, not just prospective students. So we've reached a big audience today, and we want to thank you for joining us. In a little bit, we'll be hearing from our expert today, who is the program director for the undergraduate online program in Ayurveda and Holistic Health, Integrative Wellness. Her name is Natasha Durand. But before we begin, I want to tell you a little bit about the origin story of our university with the tagline of the home of consciousness-based education. So Maharishi International University started originally by a group of pioneering visionaries who wanted to build a university based off of the culture of transcendental meditation and all of the important facets of knowledge that have developed alongside this meditation technique. The founder is Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, who brought transcendental meditation, but as he brought out meditation, he also began to bring out a vast array of knowledge. And today we're really centered on understanding more about Ayurveda, which is the system of holistic healthcare. It's so much more than that, but that's a good place to start. And it makes sense that as we progress in self-care and self-awareness, development of consciousness, we also want to take care of our physiologies and then by extension, take care of our environment so that we can live in situations that bring more and more balance. That improves our meditation. Then when our meditations improve, then we are more inspired to take better care of ourselves. So there's just this reciprocal relationship between development of awareness and consciousness, which we do through transcendental meditation. Everyone that's a part of our university learns transcendental meditation. And in fact, group practice of meditation is woven in to our campus culture, and professors will bring that into the online environment as well. We also encourage a practice of yoga asanas, and we have specialized courses on a set of yoga asanas that support practice of transcendental meditation. Today, what we're featuring is how to bring balance, even to those who are extremely busy. So we are an accredited nonprofit university, accredited by the Higher Learning Commission. I want you to know that if you're applying for the university, financial aid is available. More than 90% of our students receive it. You would have to complete your FAFSA at fafsa.gov. And if you're curious to see how much you would qualify for, you can use the financial aid calculator. It only takes 10 seconds, and it gives you an accurate estimate of what you might get. In today's webinar, we'll have about 30 minutes to cover these three topics. So you'll be getting an introduction to Ayurveda. You'll also be getting practical tips on how to balance the hustle culture. And you'll learn a little bit about Ayurveda wellness and integrative health at MIU. We offer degree programs at every level, from undergraduate through master's through a PhD. So now I'm going to call up Natasha Durand. She's one of our star presenters. Hi, Natasha. Now, Natasha is a director of online undergraduate program of Ayurveda, but she's also a PhD student and she's also a mother. So she's very familiar with managing a lot of areas of life. So she really knows what she's talking about when she's saying, bring balance to the hustle culture. So, Natasha, you can take it from here, and I'm here to support and maybe feed you questions. And everyone who's participating, just remember you're part of the conversation, influencing the direction of our conversation. So don't hesitate to jump in and ask questions. We'll just let you know that we don't have the option for you to turn on your video. So if you need to interact with us, it's really only the Q&A. So, okay, Natasha, welcome.
Right. Thank you, Karen, and hello, everybody. Welcome. So, yes, today we are going to talk about, I think, a topic a lot of us can really identify with, which is how to balance ourselves in a culture that tends to value the hustle over rest. And Karen, thank you for that introduction. So yes, I'm Natasha Durand. I am the program director for the Bachelor's of Arts in Ayurveda Wellness and Integrative Health here at MIU. When I sat back and thought about what I wanted to talk about today, the one of the first things that kind of came up for me is when I came here to MIU, one of the things that I realized is that we recognize at MIU that many of our students arrive and they're carrying the weight of hustle culture. They're used to being in constant motion, always doing, always producing, always pushing forward. Um, and we realize too that we live in a world that tells us that we have to be in motion to matter. And so it also tells us that rest is something that we have to earn. And silence is just something you squeeze in when the work is done. But one of the things that I love about MIU is that here we believe in something entirely different. We believe in cultivating a lifestyle that holds space for both rest and activity, for silence and dynamism, because you can't have sustainable action without deep restoration. So what I want to do today is I'm going to introduce you to a system that can support that balance, a system that's been around for 5,000 years, and that's what we call Ayurveda. So today what we're going to learn about is the doshas. Those are the elemental energies that govern your mind and your body. We'll also look at how hustle culture disrupts those energies, and how that disruption then affects your well-being. And then from there, we'll explore how nature itself holds a rhythm. And it's one that's mirrored in our body, in your day, and even in your seasons of life. And then how small intentional adjustments can help you return to balance. So one of the things I'm going to ask you is go ahead and grab a pen and paper. We're going to make some notes today. We're going to get you involved in what we're doing in today's little workshop webinar. One of the things I want to stress though is this isn't about having you give more or having you do more. Actually, it's quite the opposite. The real takeaway here is going to be you can accomplish more by doing less. And this is not about disengagement, it's just about alignment. And so it might sound a little counterintuitive, especially if you're thinking about starting school. But here's the thing is when you align with nature, when you honor your own inner intelligence, you'll find that things don't have to be a struggle. There is a different way, and today we're going to take the first step towards that. So if you all are ready, let's go ahead and dive right in. So before we go deeper, I do want to ask you something really important, and I really want you to take a moment just to sit with it. When is the last time that you felt truly rested? Not just a nap, not just a I don't feel tired. I mean rested in your body, in your mind, and in your nervous system. So I want you to take a breath. If it feels comfortable, close your eyes and then just gently scan the last week. the last few months, or even the last few years? Can you remember a moment when you felt completely at ease, not rushing, not bracing for the next thing? So if something comes to you, that feeling, a memory, a moment in time, go ahead and write it down. Doesn't have to be poetic, doesn't have to be a long essay, just name the moment. So, what were you doing? What weren't you doing? What did it feel like in your body? Now, I'm asking you this not to make you feel guilty or nostalgic, but just to start helping you see something important. So what we're going to do here in this workshop, and really what we do on the entire Ayurvedic path, it's it's not about doing nothing. It's about doing what's right for you. And it's about listening more deeply to what your body, your energy, and your spirit are asking for, and then acting from that place. So I want you to take that note, take that memory, and hold it close as we work through this workshop. And so I'll start with myself and I'll give you my hustle culture story. So I'm going to be honest with you. Um, this particular lesson is one I had to learn the hard way. So I'm a military veteran, and hustle culture is it's embedded in my DNA. So since I graduated high school, I've been striving. It was for the promotions, it was during deployment, always performing, always on the go. And then even after the military, I didn't stop. I became a mom. I worked through my undergraduate, my graduate degree. Now I'm in a PhD. And so today I wear many hats. I work here at MIU. I'm the PhD student. I'm the mom. And then I also run a business. And so I know what it means to hustle. And I also know how easy it is to burn out. And you burn out even doing the things that you love. But what Ayurveda has done is it's given me a new frame. It's given me a new rhythm. There are things that I do every day, and they're small but very intentional practices that keep me balanced enough to keep going without breaking myself. So you'll learn some of these practices today, and hopefully you'll be able to integrate them into your day-to-day life as well. All right. So according to Ayurveda, everything in the universe is made up of five elements. We've got space, air, fire, water, and earth. And then these pair to form what we call the doshas. And these are the energies that govern all functions of the mind and the body. And so we have all three doshas in us. We have vata, pitta, and kapha, all in different proportions. What I like to say is we all have the same ingredients, just a different recipe. And so this is what makes us unique. So Vata is made of air and space, and it's the energy of movement and creativity. So Vata governs things like our breath, our thoughts, our flexibility, both physically and mentally. And when it's balanced, Vata is joyful. It's inspirational, and it's maybe sometimes even a little spontaneous. People with a strong Vata constitution often naturally have kind of a lighter frame. They may be very tall or very short. Their joints are often very prominent. Um, and their skin may be a little thin or dry, and their hair tends to be a bit dry or wiry. And they often have a delicate appearance and with quick movements and may have even kind of an irregular appetite or digestion. One day they're starving, the next day they forget to eat. And their minds also move quickly. So they're the dreamers, they're the artists, they're the idea generators. Balanced vata is joyful, it's curious, and it's deeply imaginative. Pitta is made of fire and water, and so this is the dosha of transformation. I myself am a pitta, so it governs digestion, metabolism, and even our ambition, our motivation. So when balanced, pitta gives us drive, focus, clarity, and passion. People with a pitta predominance tend to have kind of these more moderate to athletic builds. They're not too heavy, not too light. Skin may be a little reddish, and they also may be prone to freckles. Pittas have sharp features, so they have the high cheekbones, pointed noses, really kind of penetrating eyes, and their hair tends to be fine and they tend towards kind of early graying. Um, and then these are people that they strive on that structure and they strive on achievement. They love competition. They're focused, they're determined, and full of internal fire. So, balanced pitta energy shows up as clarity, ambition, and leadership as well. And then there's kapha. So kaphas are made of earth and water. And so this is our grounding force. Kapha is all about structure, lubrication, stability, and emotional resilience. So it looks like patience, kindness, and they have a steady strength about them. They also have a wonderful amount of endurance. They're kind of the Energizer Bunny. Hard to get going, but once they get up and going, they keep going. So people with a kapha constitution, they often have kind of more rounded features. They're softer, they have a fuller build. Their skin is smooth, and their hair is very thick and lustrous. And their facial features, like their eyes and their lips, they're very large and expressive. Um, and unlike Vata types, you're not going to really see their joints or bones. So they've got this smooth covering of fullness that gives them this very classic looking softness. And they also are the type that just tends to take life at a steady pace. So they bring calm, they bring compassion, they're very nurturing energy that feels deeply grounding. So balanced kaphas feel like a warm hug. They're patient, they're kind, and they're deeply connected. And I walk you through all of these so that you can maybe start to see yourself in one of these doshas. Because again, we all have the same ingredients, we just have different recipes. And so typically one of these doshas kind of comes out as a predominant dosha. And later after this webinar, we'll have a actual workbook. And in that workbook is a mini dosha assessment. So you can maybe find out what your predominant dosha is so that you can honor that in your day-to-day life in the things that you do. So each of the doshas, as you can see here, they have their kind of their own qualities. And in Ayurveda, we call those qualities gunas. So things like hot or cold, heavy or light, mobile or still. And then what Ayurveda teaches us is that like increases like. So think of it this way. When you add heat to heat, it just gets hotter. And then opposites bring balance. So when you add cold to heat, it cools that heat off. So whenever you're feeling scattered like vata, grounding helps. If you have a little too much fire for your pitta, cool things down. And if you're starting to feel a little too heavy for kapha, then you want to bring in some lightness and movement. And this matters every day because we're interacting with energy. Everything from what we eat, what we hear, even the weather outside, or how we relate to other people. Ayurveda just helps us to bring awareness of those inputs so that we can stay balanced rather than reactive. So this is why the doshas are more than just a personality trait. It's more than a personality quiz. It's actually, this is a map for living in harmony with our inner world as well as our outer world. How are we doing, Karen? Are there any questions in the chat?
Well, we could ask people to send in some
Absolutely.
points, or if any of you have a question about what's been covered, just put that into the chat. Otherwise, we can move forward. Oh, there's one that just opened up. How do you determine your dominant dosha? From
So take a look at yourself. So like I was saying before, if you look at yourself, if you notice that you've got more of those sharp, so like I'll take myself for instance, I'm a predominantly pitta person. If you notice I talk with my hands, I've got a lot of energy. I'm also very direct. Sharper features, sharper eyes. My hair is fine and I am prone to early graying as well. That's very pitta type. The Now I'm going to probably bring up some people, some celebrities. For instance, Sarah Jessica Parker. She's a very classical Vata woman. So when you see Sarah Jessica Parker, she's very tall. She's very thin. When you look at her, you can very easily see the joints. You can very easily see the veins even in her pictures. Her hair also is a kind of a drier, more wiry. It moves. There's a lot of movement in the hair. She's a very classical Vata type woman. I would say a classical Pitta type person would be Pink, the singer. Very athletic build, not too tall, not too short. And even the personality type is a very Pitta type. And then for the Kapha woman, Oprah. So Oprah has got, this very beautiful, lustrous skin, very smooth. You can't really see the joints. Very full hair, soft features. Does that help?
what if you're a mixture of the three? Asks
Oh,
Valerie.
you most certainly can be a mixture. So again, we have all three. Everybody has all three, but one tends to come up more than the other. One or two. There are, though, people we call tridoshic, and that does happen. And so for tridoshic people, you just need to honor where you are and the energy of the time, the day, the season, and whatever may be coming up for you.
And then is this something that can change over time, like what your primary is or what your secondary type is?
So Ayurveda, as I understand Ayurveda, typically no. Granted, as we go through life, different energies do become more predominant. But typically, what our constitution stays fairly stable from the time we're born to the time, that we pass. Um, but as with everything, change is part of nature's rhythms, and so we may notice that some of the doshas may come up and be a little bit more predominant than others. And again, it's about noticing those changes within ourselves and then working to balance those out. And
So
we're actually going to be getting
Alberto,
into that here in a minute.
okay, good. Yeah, there's some other questions about like how the doshas align with circadian rhythms, but if you're going to cover that later, we can.
We are going to cover that, and that's a great thing. And so just remember, we have all three, and we should always honor all three. Balance looks different for everybody. So before we get too far, I do want to talk though hustle culture. So hustle culture. It's something that we're all, honestly, we're breathing in, whether we realize it or not. So we live in a world that glorifies productivity, not just work, but kind of this constant doing. We don't just go to work. We're also supposed to work out. We're supposed to have that side hustle. We're supposed to get more credentials. We're supposed to answer every message, make every meeting, cook dinner, take care of everyone else, and then still have time left over for ourselves somewhere within that 24 hours. And if you can't keep up, the message is that you're the problem, not the system. And so this kind of pressure, this override to the signals of your body, your energy, your intuition, that throws us out of balance. And that's where Ayurveda, again, it gives us a language. Hustle doesn't affect everyone the same way. It hits us through our doshas. And so, as you can see here, these are some of the common ways that the doshas react when they start to get imbalanced, when they start to feel the pressure of that hustle culture. So, vata under hustle is, it's when the world keeps moving and they're just trying to keep up. And then vata goes into overdrive. The winds of vata start to pick up. And so you might notice that you feel scattered, anxious. You may also be able to find difficulty going to sleep. Your thoughts race, your energy crashes, your digestion gets erratic, and you feel like you're running on empty, but you can't seem to slow down. Pitta, on the other hand, is Pitta, the hustle feeds the fire of Pitta. So pittas tend to, they push harder, they go for longer times, they tend to overbook, and then they start to micromanage every little thing. They get super rigid. Their tempers shorten, their patience thin, and then their body starts to overheat, literally or emotionally. And this is when pittas they're the ones who burn out, but they still keep going because they have that voice in their head because quitting feels like failure. And so they become very critical of themselves. And then kaphas, hustle in kaphas tend to not doesn't spark action. It actually weighs kaphas down. And so for here, for kaphas, they might start to feel stuck. They might start to feel uninspired, maybe a little foggy, or like they're walking underwater. And instead of moving forward, they tend to retreat. They'll disconnect, or they'll start to question kind of their motivation entirely. And so, like I was saying, burnout does not look the same in every person. So your imbalance might be wired, fiery, or even frozen. But these are all three signs that your system is overwhelmed. And the beautiful thing is Ayurveda, we don't shame you for that. We just help you see it. We help you name it. And we're going to just gently bring you back into your rhythm. And so what I want to do now is I want to take a moment to check in with our own system. So which one of these feels most familiar to you today? Are you feeling maybe a little scattered like Vata? Like you put your phone down and then 2 seconds later you forgot where you put it? Are you feeling fiery or frustrated like Pitta? Like the next person who even looks at you wrong is going to get yelled at. Or maybe you're sluggish or stuck like Kapha. Like, you know what? I didn't even really want to get out of bed today. So here's the thing, no judgment, no diagnosis. Just notice it with a little curiosity and some kindness. So remember, when we push past our needs and past our capability, nature starts to push back. And that's our sign. That's our sign that we need to start rebalancing through rhythm. And so we've talked about how hustle culture disrupts that inner balance, but the beauty of Ayurveda is that it doesn't just diagnose imbalance, it shows us how to return to that natural rhythm. So I know, Karen, you were saying some people were asking about circadian rhythm, things
Yep.
of that nature. And so nature, it does have a rhythm and it does show up in our day-to-day lives. So it shows up in the seasons, in the days, and even in the time of life we're in. And what Ayurveda does is it teaches that the doshas guide these rhythms. So as you can see here on this table, we'll go with the time of life first. So kapha is the first part of life. So that's from birth to around 30. And why is that? Well, because it's a time of growth, structure, and nourishment. And so when we're building our bodies, even into our late 20s, we're still building, we're still building the brain. There's still myelination going on. So, the brain is getting the super highway of the communication going. So it's laying the foundation of who we are. And so this is a time of emotional bonding, fullness, and becoming. And then from 30 to 60, we enter the pitta phase of life. And so this is a time of doing. This is when we're working, we're raising our families, we're building our careers, and we're just fully engaging with the world. And that fire is what's driving us forward. And then after 60, we shift into the Vata phase. And this is a time of more lightness, refinement, and introspection. So energy becomes a little more delicate. We see dryness and less movement and change. They're a lot more present. And it's not just in our body, but it can be in our mind and our spirit as well. And so when we consider these things, we consider what we were just talking about, how opposites, the like increases like and dislike decreases dislike. And so for each area of these life of these time of life, we can see what we can do to kind of offset when those doshas may start to increase. We can, for instance, in kapha, we can introduce maybe a little more creativity and a little more movement and some play. For the pitta time, we can learn to cool off and rest. We don't always have to work. And then in Vata, we want to nourish ourselves. We want to bring in warmth, and we want to bring in that stability. And we even take this over into the time of day. And so you were asking about circadian rhythm. And so the rhythms of the dosha are throughout each of the 24-hour cycles as well. So from that 6 to 10 a.m., we're in kapha time. So I'll be honest with you, wake up before 6 a.m. so that you don't start your day off with kapha heaviness, because kapha is a little heavier, it's a little slower. And so get up by 6. Now, I know for myself that's very hard. I love my sleep. I'm not a morning person. But it is so important to get up and to do, again, the opposite of kapha, which is to move our bodies and to start our day, to move our bodies, to go ahead and practice transcendental meditation, to kind of get the ball rolling for the day. So don't sleep in too long. And then from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., it's pitta time. And this is really great for that focused work. This is also when you're going to want to eat your biggest meal of the day, because this is when digestion is strongest. And then from there, 2 to 6 p.m. is Vata time. And this is a great time to engage in creativity, finishing up the tasks for the day, maybe even taking a walk. And then the patterns repeat after that. So 6 to 10 p.m. is kapha time again, but this time we want to lean into the kapha nature. This is the time to wind down, but we want to eat lightly and we want to get our body and ourselves ready for bed. Then 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., pitta kicks back in, but pitta is not kicking in for us to go to work. So no late night studying, no late night reading. Okay, we're not burning the midnight oil. What we're doing though is we're going to bed so that our body can engage in metabolism, so that we can take all the things that we've brought in for the day, everything we've eaten, seen, and engaged in, so that our body can fully transform it, digest it, absorb it, and get rid of the waste. And so this is where we see deep metabolic repair, is while we sleep. And in that window from 2 to 6 a.m., again, we're back to Vata. And so this is very light, very subtle, perfect for meditation, great for spiritual practice, and then gently waking up with the sun. And then, of course, our seasons as well. And so each season has its own doshic energy too. So we're just now coming out of summer for a lot. I'm in South Carolina, and so we're just now coming out of the heat, the pitta heat of summer, and we're getting ready into fall. And so we'll go through each of these, but kapha is spring, obviously. It's wet, it's heavy, and it's full of growth and renewal, which is a very kapha thing. For those times, we want to, again, offset the heaviness of kapha by doing some very simple things. Switching up our diet, so bringing in leafy greens and lighter meals. From there, pitta, obviously, fire rules summer, right? It's sharp, it's hot, it's intense. And again, we can offset those things. We can go swimming. We can eat plenty of watery melons and sweet berries and things of that nature to help cool our bodies down. No ice, but some nice cooling, watery foods and things of that nature. And then Vata is strongest in winter. It's dry, it's cold, and it's changeable. And so, how do we get ready for winter? Bring out the quilts, bring out the heated blankets, bring out the tea mugs. You'll want to grab your favorite mug. And soups and stews are wonderful for this time of year. And then for autumn, that's a blend. So autumn is like the fire of summer, but it's starting to fade, and we're starting to see that dryness of winter begin to rise. And so transitions, like the shift, for instance, from summer to fall, they tend to be especially sensitive times. And so these are times where we can slow down and learn to support our body, really getting in touch with what we need. And so as we look at this, I want you to think, where are you in this cycle? Where are you in the time of life, in the day, or in the season? And what would it mean to listen to the rhythm instead of the hustle? Oh, I think I may have. Did I go too far? Oh, I didn't. Okay. Sorry about that. All right, so before we close, I want to offer you three of the simplest things Ayurveda teaches. So these are practices that honestly, they seem very small, but they can have a powerful ripple effect over time, and they are good for all three doshas. So first is our warm water routine. So warm water in the morning, especially with a little honey and lemon. This is a gentle ritual wake up for your system. So it hydrates you, kickstarts your digestion, and it gets things moving, both physically and energetically. Next up, all three doshas should eat their biggest meal of the day around noon. Because what this does is it aligns your eating with the part of the day that is has the strongest digestion. So you figure noon is when the sun is highest in the sky. It's also when we are at peak. Usually we're working and we're at peak energy. And so midday is ruled by Pitta, and that is the fire of transformation. So lunch is when your body is best equipped to handle that real meal. And then last but not least, if you can, get to bed by 10 p.m., 11 at the absolute latest. And why is that? It's because it supports that deep repair. So Pitta returns at this time of night, but it's not to push us through emails. It's not to get us to finish that homework. It's there to help us digest and then metabolize everything we've taken in, from food to emotions. And so I want to now kind of invite you. What's one? I only want you to pick one small shift that you are ready to try. Could be one of these three, or it might be even something a little more personal. Maybe you want to start honoring your need for rest. Maybe you want to start adjusting your morning rhythm so that you wake up by 6 a.m. Or maybe it's just listening to when your body wants to move, eat, or just sit still. So here's the thing, we don't need a 30-day plan. And you don't need to be perfect. You just need to begin. And you need to do it gently, intentionally, and also in rhythm with who you really are. So one small shift, that's the Ayurvedic way. One small shift at a time. So I want to end with a reminder, and I think this is probably the most important one. So this path is not about adding more to your plate. It's about choosing what really belongs on it. So Maharishi said, do less and accomplish more. And he was not encouraging laziness. He was simply reminding us that when we align with nature's intelligence, with the rhythms of the doshas, and with the wisdom that's already inside us, life itself becomes more effortless. And it's not because everything is suddenly magically easy, but it's because you're no longer fighting your nature. So I'll ask you not to do more. And then I'm not going to ask you what more can you do, but what I am asking is what can you release? What small weight could you set down? And what would it feel like to live in rhythm rather than resistance? So you're saying you don't have to earn your rest. You were born deserving it. And with that, that is the end of our webinar. Like I said, I think we are going to be sending out a PDF that I created. I created a workbook. It's going to go into more depth on this topic, and so you can work with that workbook, and it'll work you through a lot of the steps that we've worked here, but in a more in-depth and personal way. So, and as always, if you have any questions, you can always feel free to reach out.
Yeah, so we will send out a recording to everyone who registered. And then in that we'll include the PDF, and I'll figure out how to do that. Or we might just put it on the website where we post all the recordings. But just wanted to tell you that David said his small change will be to not skip lunch, which is easy to do when working hard.
Yes, no skipping lunch. That is going to be such a huge thing. I think you'll see a lot of changes in your energy and your mindset just by eating lunch.
Mm. Yes, and then well, we'll do the wrap up, and then we might get some 5 minutes at the other end of that to address some of the questions that came up. But for now, we're just going to do our little wrap up. Thank you, Natasha. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Stay here.
Oh, Valerie says trying to go to bed sooner. Yeah, okay. That could really be that one shift that affects a lot of other things. Okay, so practical details for anyone who's considering being a student and joining our awesome university and community. So we have a very generous transfer credit system for undergraduates. You can transfer up to 90 credits, and you transfer credit towards the BA program from any college that's a member of the Higher Learning Commission. There's 3 different degree levels. We have the on-campus, bachelor's, master's, PhD programs, but you could also study online at all levels. And then there's this other emerging option where people are still online, but they move to Fairfield, which is a very supportive community for living holistically. There's been a lot of spiritual development in this community, and people who graduated from university sometimes move and stay in Fairfield. So you could be online and living local, or on campus and being a student. And we wanted to point out that every website page has this apply button to make it super easy. It's very quick to apply. Our next entry is February 2026. All programs can apply for this entry. And then this is our little plug for Fairfield, Iowa, which is the southeast part of Iowa. We're about an hour away from Iowa City. We have the Golden Domes here, and that's where we practice the advanced practices. So there's in addition to transcendental meditation, there's advanced technologies that we all practice together. And there's a K through 12 school as well. So families find this very important information, because if you have kids, you could send your kids to a K through 12 school that's compatible with the philosophy and the way of life. And another little reminder, more than 90% of the university students receive extensive financial aid. Another reminder about the financial aid calculator. It only takes 10 seconds to get your estimated award. And if you really like these types of knowledge-oriented webinars, we have about 2 a month. And you could also come and visit us. It's called a Visitors Day. So the next one is October 4th. And then you could also request to meet with a professor. And that's on one of the web pages on the MIU website. Once you're enrolled to be a student, you can learn transcendental meditation at no extra cost at a local TM center. And we really encourage that you learn this practice and start practicing before you become a student, because then the whole framework, the consciousness-based framework, will integrate much more naturally on the level of experiencing growing consciousness, growing self-awareness. So we encourage you to do that ahead of time. But if you don't manage to get it in, you have up to like 4 weeks once you start school to learn meditation. And if you want to take a picture of that, or you can scan this. This will take you to the webpage that hosts all the webinars we've had in the past. This one will be up in about a week to 10 days. All right, so with that, I'm going to go back to Natasha here. And we can take some of your other questions.
Well, I've been noticing in the chat, and so I do want to take a moment to talk. So I did notice some people bringing up the MS MAVM, which is our Maharishi Ayurveda and Integrative Medicine program, and the PhD program. And so the great thing is for, especially for our undergraduates who take the BA in Ayurvedic Wellness and Integrative Health as Ayurvedic consultants. You can go through the entire undergraduate program, and then it is a direct pipeline into the master's degree. And so I actually, if I remember correctly, you can skip the first 2 semesters of the master's degree, because we actually, a lot of what we cover in the bachelor's is already covered there. And so you can go straight into the master's degree. And the master's degree is going to give you a deeper dive into Ayurveda, especially whenever it comes to physiology and imbalances. So we'll look at specific imbalances, dealing with every system of the body, and you will learn how Ayurveda integrates with modern medicine in that program. And so that's typically a 3-year program, but if you're an Ayurveda major, so you're getting the Ayurveda wellness major and doing the Ayurveda consultant track, that will go from a 3-year to a 2-year program. And then I did see how long to complete the PhD program. Well, in many ways, that's kind of up to you. So the PhD program, which, like I said, I'm currently in, I've been in that program now for just a little over 2 years. There are courses that you have to take at the start of the program, and then you have to go through a few different things like your qualifying exams, which I just finished back in the spring. And then you get into your getting your study proposal ready, and then you defend that, and then you get into dissertation phase. A lot of it is just how quickly you want to work through it. So as I said before, I'm a very pitta predominant person, and so I see that as a challenge. I'm getting it done by next year. So we'll see how
What's
long.
your area of research? Someone wanted to know.
My area of research, so I am actually doing a meta-analysis and individualized pooled data analysis of over 250 women with PTSD, and I'm looking at the effects of transcendental meditation on the symptoms of PTSD. So mainly looking at PTSD, anxiety, and depression. So no, the PhD program is not composed of courses only. You'll have your preliminary courses so that you understand research methods, anatomy and physiology, statistics, and things of that nature. But there are a ton of practical projects. So you pretty much will start to write the beginnings of your dissertation as soon as you get into that program. Everything there is geared to get you to start thinking about the dissertations and its connections to consciousness as well, which is another big piece of our PhD program. Um, Hopefully, does that answer the program stuff? Because then I can get into the more fun areas dealing with Prakriti, which is the dosha.
Yeah, just well,
Dosha
one practical
concentration.
thing. So,
Mhm.
any question about career opportunities, I highly recommend a webinar we just did with the career counselor. We have an awesome team, and we encourage you to actually connect with them at the start of your degree program because they have a fantastic resource called Handshake, and you can bring your vision to them, and they will help guide you into fulfilling that career vision through your degree program. So um, I'll share the website link later again after the
And
presentation.
actually, so our program also works very closely hand in hand with career services. And so one of the things that we have worked is working on our kind of program objectives, like what we want you to know when you leave the program. So we're closely tying our program objectives to how they translate to the real world, how they would translate to a resume, and what kind of job opportunities you would get out there. And so we actually have already been talking to Sherry over at Career Services. We're finding internships. We're finding a lot of opportunities for our students to engage outside of the university and get some real world experience. So some really good opportunities there.
You want to talk about Prakritis?
Yes. All right. So I did see quite a few people who were curious. And so, um, I think some of the important things, I saw somebody who commented, I'm 74, any other suggestions? Again, the importance of I think the big takeaway today is just, understanding where you are and really listening to what your body needs. And so, especially when you're in, for instance, if you're in a Vata time of life, slowing down and not feeling like you have to keep up and honoring your body and where you are in that time of life. So again, bringing in a lot of warmth, bringing in a lot of connection, a connection with family, connection with community as well is going to be very important because we want to build stability and a strong foundation, not only for ourselves physically, but also mentally and spiritually. But then even physically, just taking it easy. So when you're going for a walk, you're only going to want to exercise up to about 50% of your capacity. So you'll want to get your heart rate up, get a little bit of a sweat, but you still want to be able to hold a conversation. Um, when you're looking at foods, we have 6 flavors. We have sweet, sour, salty, bitter, pungent, and astringent. So sweet, sour, and salty are what calm Vata. And so you want all 6 flavors, but you want to focus on those flavors a little bit more, especially if you notice that the winds of Vata have started to ramp up a bit. And so I'm not telling you to go out and have chips and candy bars, though. That is not the sweet and sour, the salty that I'm talking about. What I am encouraging though are things like like natural seaweed, that'll give you your salty. You can also get sweet from fruits and vegetables. You can have things, grains like couscous. You can have, a kanji drink, which is a rice drink. We can do different types of yogurts, but you'll typically want to stay away from things that are too cold, too rough. You don't want to do raw vegetables. Salads and things like that are no good for somebody who might be in a high vata time. Instead, everything should be well cooked and well spiced. So bring in some of those warming herbs, a lot of that cinnamon, the nutmeg, coriander, things of that nature. And warm water, just sip warm water throughout the day. I always have either a cup of of my personal favorite, which is the honey lemon water, or I have my little thermos that sits under my desk and I just sip warm water throughout the day. If you find yourself in a pitta time, so again, pittas, they are the people who are very fiery. They might be a little loud at times. I know I can get a little loud at times, but there's a sharpness about pitta. There's a fieriness about pitta. And so pittas need to stay cooled off. And so pittas, they want to, definitely have plenty of leafy greens. So make sure that you get plenty of leafy greens in your diet. Also, those kind of more cooling things like watermelon and cantaloupe, especially during the summer. Go ahead and definitely eat those. But still, kind of the same thing, everything should be cooked, well spiced. Pittas, don't skip a meal. Don't get hangry. If you start to feel yourself getting hungry, have a snack. A handful of pumpkin seeds or some sweet red grapes, things of that nature. But just don't skip a meal. Don't get hungry. And then cool off. So before bed, no action movies before bed, please. So sit back and read a book of poetry. Read something that's going to be cooling and calming to your system so that you can get your brain to start to slow down so that you can get to sleep. And then for vatas, so vatas again, they are very light. It's lots of space and air, so they're very, very light. They, again, maybe are prone to a little more dryness. They're prone to a little more anxiety and a little worry. And so for them, it's going to be grounded. We want to see them grounded. And so, a good story is always good, especially for vatas at night, something to kind of ground them out and help them feel at peace. And if you're a kapha type, you're maybe a little broader shoulders, well covered, good adipose tissue in your midsection, lots of energy, lots of endurance. You will want to focus on, again, all six flavors, but bitter, pungent, and astringent is what will balance out kaphas. And so, again, lots of leafy greens, red, brown, and yellow lentils. So good khichdi is always something good for a kapha to eat. Um, you'll want to stick away from heavy oily foods. Use oil sparingly. And then for kapha activity, uh, kaphas are very hard to get up and going. They're like a rolling stone. But once they get going, they can outpace everybody. And so a good hike is always a great thing. And especially an early morning hike when it's maybe a little cooler in the day and the dew is on the grass. That is a great time for a kapha to go out and take a walk. But kaphas, don't feel like you have to keep up with everybody. By all means, stop and smell the roses. Your kapha energy will enjoy that, and you won't be fighting against your nature to try to keep up with everybody else. Make that walk as enjoyable and as long as you want it to. Does that help?
Yeah, so for the remaining questions, well, we will have to close soon. But you could take a degree program and take the diet nutrition course, or just keep your eyes peeled for another webinar on Ayurveda. But I'm going to share the QR code once again. You can kind of scan through the past webinars. I know about a year ago, we actually did a whole webinar with you, Natasha, on balancing the seasons. So that might provide some important information for the season coming up. So at this time, I want to just thank Natasha for all of her wealth of information and knowledge and her calm, reassuring presence that it only takes a small step at a time. It's true. For me, I wanted to wake up early, but I had to adjust my eating schedule before I finally figured out how to prepare myself to sleep early enough to wake up early. So I remember that it just took adjusting a couple of things, and then it helped have an Ayurveda expert to try to target which thing to adjust first. So whatever your degree program at MIU, we've all benefited greatly in this community from the knowledge of Ayurveda. it's just those little changes make such a big difference. And then in time, it just becomes second nature. So you set yourself up for success in the future as well. So thank you for joining us today. I'm going to just close out with that QR code. And sorry if you didn't get to all your questions, but we hope to catch you at a future webinar. We hope that you are part of a community in one way or the other. If you're not joining us as a student, just want you to know, if you learn Transcendental Meditation, there are other things happening on campus like retreats, advanced technique training. So one way or the other, we hope to see you here in Fairfield or just as part of our online community. So here's that QR code again. And the link is miu.edu/admissions/webinars. All right. Thank you, everyone. Take care.